Welcome to the TTT News Special. I'm DK Rosta. The First Responders Association of Trinidad and Tobago is a non-profit, professional and social network here to advance the profession locally and to share knowledge and expertise as well as form closer bonds. And we are forming some closer bonds with Nevillon Forde, Executive Member, and Amaly St, Interim President. So ladies, welcome. Amaly, I want to start with you, please. And what is the First Responders Association of Trinidad and Tobago? Give me an overview.
Pleasant good afternoon to all the general public, and thank you for having us. Now, the First Responder Association of Trinidad and Tobago, better known as FRAT, this is a non-profit professional and social network. Now, we're here to advance the profession locally and to share knowledge and expertise and to also form a closer bond. Now, the ongoing pandemic has revealed a dark underbelly of our profession. We, the first responders, have been going for years, as you all will know, and none of us have ever prepared for an instance such as this, where we have been, we're required to be going and going. And as we know, this pandemic is 16 months into.
Yeah.
So FRAT is here to fight for those that have fought for all of us, for the persons who respond at a moment's notice, and FRAT is here to also advocate for the safety, the security, and also the healthcare, withstanding the fact that we too are experiencing exactly what all of the civilians in our society is experiencing right now.
I find it very interesting that you speak about the fact that one of the ways that you're trying to engage different members of the association is socially. But how has that been taking place, as you said, during a pandemic?
All right, I'll engage Nevillon to go ahead and respond to this.
Yes, please,
Yeah.
Nevillon.
Once again, thanks for having us. So, as first responders, there are numerous amounts of challenges, and we are on the front lines of the nation's response to COVID-19. The challenges are immense, and as Amaly just mentioned, we have been fighting this good fight, as we would put it, for the past 16 to 18 months. And we can tell that it definitely is taking a toll on the mental health, the mental agility, the mental acuity, and all of these factors. And for that reason, FRAT, as we call it, First Responders Association, has been created. Our mission is so that the first responders don't have to suffer in silence, so that we have that support. We're saying everyone has a hero, but who are the heroes for the first responders? FRAT was created so that we can be our own heroes and that we could give that support to one another while we're all on the front line.
And I really appreciate that, because sometimes you said it. You have people going and going and going, and the heroes are there. But at the same time, who are the heroes of the heroes? We have somebody asking who will guard the guards, and a slightly different tone. But in terms of giving those definitions, what's the difference between a first responder and a frontline worker?
Good question.
So we would like to, define a first responder for, the lay people to understand. Now, the first responder is someone who is specially trained, has that specialized training to respond to persons who have involved in either accidents, natural disaster, terrorism, you name it, who have a medical emergency. They are what we defined as a first responder. Those who are engaged in the public safety system, law enforcement, police, regiment, Coast Guard, even customs, immigration detention centers, our paramedics, our EMTs, even our lifeguard, our firefighters. These are what we, these persons in these professions are what we defined as first responders. When it comes to frontline workers, as defined in CDC, they defined a frontline worker as employees within an essential industry. So education, of course, the healthcare system, again, law enforcement, those involved in food and agriculture, water waste management, energy, finance, the bank and stuff. So that's the difference between a first responder and a frontline worker.
And I like the fact that you talk about having that training in place. Okay, well, it is known that you are one of the people that if this is the situation, you are one of the people that will be called. But that begs the question though, who is the association for? Because within those two kind of demarcations, I can see people who may be a part of each. So who's the association for?
So yes, the association is fighting for all first responders. Like I listed a wide range of people there before. We're not only fighting for those who are involved in medically responding to an emergency, but we're fighting for everyone that falls under that ambit. Police service, even down to our safety officers, anyone that would respond to a person who is in a crisis or traumatic type event would be there first. That is who we are advocating for.
All right, and Nevillon, I want to ask what the response has been so far for the organization. Thank you. And remind me of when the organization was formed.
Yeah. So the organization was formed a few months ago, and we're still in the process of formalizing things. But while that is ongoing, the response and the support that we have gotten so far has been nothing but positively overwhelming. Over 500 to 600 supporters is what we're able to account for right now on our social page. That's the Facebook page. And thankfully, we continue to grow. And I just want to point out here that that is the underpinning of why FRAT was created, because the first responders are looking for advocacy. And that's why we believe support is so easy to come by. And we are in the next steps, even though planning, seminars and some good stuff up ahead.
Now, when people talk about good stuff, that's when my ears peak up a little bit and be like, talk to me now. But and part of the reason, though, I ask about the response to the association, and I can also tier that response. So in the sense that, what is the response from other first responders in general? And then also, is there a response from general members of the public, laymen, laywomen, to this new association and the need that you all are addressing at this point in time? So have you gotten levels from different people, both within first responders and outside?
Yeah, that's right. That is exactly how it has been. And we're hoping to raise the awareness that, all right, first responders are out there. However, we still need the support of everyone else. So when we speak about FRAT, we're not only looking, as you rightfully mentioned, for first responders, whether in the medical field or not, but we're also looking for the support of corporate Trinidad and Tobago and beyond, actually. So far, so good.
I like the fact you're talking about beyond Trinidad and Tobago, but before we even open that can of worms or that kettle of fish, give me an idea. What's the name of the Facebook page and how do people contact the association? How do people engage with FRAT?
So it's First Responders Association of Trinidad and Tobago. So right in the Facebook search box, you can put that in and it should pop right up.
All right, great. So we take a short break, but we are speaking with Nevillon Forde as well as Amaly St of the First Responders Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are speaking with members of the First Responders Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Nevillon Forde, Executive Member, as well as the Interim President, Amaly St. And Ms. President, what are the next steps? So yes, the association is established and people have started to say, okay, well, you all are around, there's some traction that is happening. What are the next few steps that you have in line for the association?
All right, so the next few steps we have is basically to register the body, get everything formalized. And we'll also be doing a lot of work, pushing a lot of stuff off on Facebook. So that's what we're basically looking at.
Are there any, or what kind of issues or the things that you want to put out on Facebook? Are there broad categories, or what are some of those themes that you want to share with the public?
All right, so one of the actual effects of this pandemic that has affected us, tremendously is the fact of post-traumatic stress. Now, many of us are taking extra shifts, as I said before, not only to make the money, but also to keep the system running. As we know, it is a mammoth task right now. So just to keep the system running, a lot of us are doing a lot of shifts. And again, like I said before, coupled with, the normal concerns of life and stresses of life, you have the additional issue of work and all of the traumas that you're facing with death and dying and stuff. So what we are doing is that we are coming together and we need to start getting some programs running for the persons that are being affected. Yeah, we determined that we need to get some teams, create some peer teams. And why we're going that way too is because we have noticed that even though that there are institutions or agencies that have programs, for example, EAP programs, these programs are not really suited for persons who are exposed to this level of stress and dying and death and crisis. So we are proposing to develop some peer teams. We are also proposing to get a lot of professional help. And also a big issue within our field and within business and persons accessing help is confidentiality. And as we know, for persons to really access this help, they need to know that it's a confidential service that is being provided. So we are pushing for all of these. And another very big ticketed item that we are really looking into is some wellness and resiliency training yearly for persons. Now we go through these programs, these professional bodies, police, fire, paramedic, school, EMS. We go through these programs to become professional and competent at what we do. But there is a basic and very important element that is missing. And that element basically is, how do people handle the stresses that they face? That is really missing. And this is where we have a lot of breakdown in society. And we want to target these things and let these heroes know that we are there for them. And there is someone that, is there to support them.
And this is one of the things that I appreciate about NGOs, CSOs, because yes, you may have the professional organizations and the professional bodies, but they would have their specific chains of command, their lines of communication. But sometimes it needs a pairing with a CSO or an NGO or nonprofit to kind of cut through some of those things to make the entire thing a little more efficient. Because yes, you may have your lines, but because of those lines and rooted in certain cultures, they may become a little more bureaucratic when people need it before yesterday happened. So in terms, and so Ms. Forde, I want to go to you now though, because you started talking about some workshops. So give me a little idea about some of those things, please.
Yes, okay, smart move there, coming back to that point. So as Amaly mentioned, what we do plan to do is really have a host of seminars, a host of peer-to-peer systems where we're able to give not only support as a group, as a fraternity, as we like to say, but also to give a one-on-one. And why we think that that is so important is, again, that confidentiality factor. So those two, once you join our Facebook group, those two initiatives are the first to look forward to. And you will begin rolling out the juiciest of details very soon.
And I smile because one of the things in another conversation that I had speaking about mental health, one person was saying that decentralizing mental health can be good, it can be bad, in the sense that there's more access, but some people might not want to go to a mental health facility that is right in their area because they see people might be saying, hey, you see them go, them are problems. So in terms of that level of confidentiality, I think is very, very, very important. But I want to continue with you, please, for a moment, please, Ms. Forde, in terms of saying, okay, well, reaching outside of Trinidad and Tobago. So building links in Trinidad and Tobago is one thing. What are you looking for, or what is the association looking for in terms of capacity building or just networking outside of our shores?
Right. So one of the things you would find when it comes to networking and even beyond that, research, our region missed that boat entirely, right? We don't know what are the challenges that other neighboring islands are facing and how they have overcome it. And I think that there is so much to learn simply by reaching out to them, seeing how their NGOs work, what supports they have been doing, also to allow us to think outside of the box, I should say, of Trinidad and Tobago. So that is the purpose really of kind of extending our tentacles, although it is a long-term goal, because we want to make sure that we are quite solid here first in our formalization processes. But that is really the reason of reaching out, because of course, it's not Trinidad alone who's faced with responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we want to see how others do it. How are they coping? How can we learn from that, and how can we share our own experiences again to have that peer-to-peer consultation and peer-to-peer counseling?
All right, now, Ms. Forde, you spoke about some long-term goals, or putting that into the long-term goal category. Ms. St, you want to give us some timelines for some of those good things that you were talking about? In terms of, is it 2 months, is it 3 months? When can we look to see some of these things being rolled out by FRAT?
So presently we're working on getting some stuff out from as soon as next week. So you can look for some good stuff on our Facebook page from next week. And we will be posting updates, intermittently. So you can look forward for a lot of information there.
Right, and having people engaged, so different levels of first responders, is there a certain amount you want from each of the groups that you've itemized a little earlier? Does it matter how old the people are? Does it matter what kind of first responder you are, in order to say, okay, well, we'll be able to access some of these things coming from FRAT?
No, it does not matter. Everyone has a place with FRAT, okay? I think one of the initiatives that we will want to do is to start to get into communities. It is needed. Get into households, start training persons, because again, an emergency doesn't say when it's coming. And it's very, very important that we are all trained. I would love if we get into all households in Trinidad and Tobago. And FRAT, our community, is already rich. It's already filled with a lot of persons from all of these different institutions and agencies that I have spoken about before. I've already reached out to them, and everybody's really, really keen and excited to lend their support.
And we're very grateful.
So look forward to wonderful things.
And we're very grateful for the work that you're doing, and we're hoping to hear much more good things from the First Responders Association of Trinidad and Tobago in the very near future. Thank you so much, Ms. St. Thank you, Ms. Forde. And we want to thank you for tuning in on behalf of the entire news team. Thank you for joining us, and have a good one.